everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Chelsea. So today I'm gonna kind of just jump right into this. If you are new here, welcome. I would love to have you as a subscriber. So today I'm going to be talking about the second part to my moving to Dallas video. At first I talked about how I ended up getting to Dallas and basically advice for people who wanted to move. Today I'm going to be talking about the reason behind me going there, which was me going to grad school. So I'm going to answer a couple of questions, really just tell you my story about how I picked Dallas, why I picked it, etc., and then maybe some advice and tips and my experience through grad school. You can't see, but this is a shirt that I have from my school. So I went to Southern Methodist University in Dallas and I just graduated in May with my master's. I did study human rights and social justice. Power to the people, okay? And I'm gonna pretty much explain how I decided that. I'm just gonna give you the spiel, okay? Without further ado, of course, let's get straight into it. So, how I picked it. So, what I was really wanting to do, I told you before that I really wanted to move. So, I had like a couple of places in mind that I wanted to go to. So, of course, I went to University of Missouri for undergrad. And so for my grad school, I kind of wanted a different experience. I got everything that I wanted out of my undergrad. So I wanted to go to a big sports school, which is what I went to. I ran track. So I definitely wanted the big sports school spirit. There's nothing else to do in Columbia, Missouri, but Mizzou. So everything was definitely centered around Mizzou. The sports were really big, and that's pretty much the field that I wanted to get for my undergrad experience. And so my scholarship was good and everything like that. So, but I wanted to go to I wanted a completely different feel for my grad school. So grad school and undergrad are completely different. So I wanted to go to a city. So I wanted to go, let me focus this a little bit more. Okay. I wanted to go to a school in a major city. So the cities that were on my list were Miami, Atlanta, Dallas, and LA. And then of course DC, but I was already from DC and in DC, so I kind of didn't want to stay there, but that was actually the direction that I was leaning towards. So I kind of started probably in 2017 making a list of everywhere that I wanted to go. So in Atlanta, I was looking at Georgia State. In Miami, I was looking at University of Miami, and I was also looking at Florida International. I looked at SMU in Dallas. I looked at UCLA, and I also looked at Georgetown in DC. And then I also was looking at Syracuse because they had a good communications program. So I did major in communications, so I kind of wanted to stay in that realm, but what I really wanted to do was focus on the corporate side. I didn't really want to be in news per se anymore. So I was kind of trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and I really just didn't know, honestly. And that's okay. So at the time I'm like 22, 23, and I just was like, I don't want to do news anymore. I really don't know what I want to do. So I decided that I was going to go to grad school, and I also wanted a change of scenery. So the way that I ended up going, to SMU was I went and clicked on like find more information from the program that I was interested in. And I had some communications with the dean, and then I didn't follow up anymore. I was like, oh, I think I'm gonna try to go to Georgetown or Syracuse. And I was gonna go to Syracuse online, or I was gonna go to Georgetown. I did not get accepted. So what I decided to do was to get my graduate certificate, which I did complete at Georgetown in social media management. I finished that in May of 2018, and I decided to do that just so I can get accepted to the program. My undergrad grades were really, they were up and down, up and down, up and down. I was going through some things, and I was trying to find myself. There were some other things going on, so they weren't really the best grades that they really should have been. So I didn't get into the program that I wanted to go to. And trust me, I was trying to go for the top dogs. I was trying to go to Syracuse and Georgetown, which are already pretty big name, hard schools to get into. So I was trying to figure out how I could do it. So long story short, I didn't get in. I did end up getting into Syracuse, but it was fairly expensive. So in August of 2018, the school, SMU, reached back out to me, asked me if I was still interested, and they told me the application process. They told me that they were still accepting applicants, and so I was like, oh. I didn't get accepted to my #1 school, which was Georgetown, even after completing the program. And I think they told me to reapply for the next semester, which I was gonna do, but then I said, okay, well, I'll try this. So I needed to write a personal statement. That's very important. My personal statement was pretty good. I wrote a personal statement explaining how I was a different student than I was later. I explained everything of why I wanted to join their program. And I showed my grades from Georgetown, which was a 4.0. So I did do really good. I got all A's in that program, and showed that I was like very committed to my education. So I was very committed to my education, blah, blah, blah. I got accepted. I had an interview and I got accepted, and then I said, okay, I'm going to Dallas. The reason why I like Dallas also, I wanted to go to a big city, like I said, and I wanted to go to a big city that had big sports, a lot of stuff to do. I wasn't really interested in being really immersed in the school itself like I was for undergrad. So I was really wanted to go somewhere where I really liked the city. And I had been to Dallas a couple of times. So I decided that I think that I like Dallas. And I think that was a pretty good decision for me. How I picked my program. So it's a Master's of Liberal Studies focusing on human rights and social justice. So I originally went there because I originally was going to major in communication, media, and technology, which was still in the communications program, but I was doing it under the liberal studies, and that was the way that I was gonna go. But then when I got accepted and I looked at the course list, there were a lot of programs or a lot of courses that I really just resonated with me and my learning that I wanted to learn. So the first class that I saw that really caught my attention was the Black Struggle for Freedom. And that was the first course that I really took that made me decide to join into the human rights program, which I'm actually thankful for. And I can really go into my major and all of that stuff a little bit differently, or a little bit later in another video, because that's a whole nother thing. But basically I saw the courses and I was able to learn a lot about human rights, and I was able to focus that on an organizational standpoint. So I decided when I was in Dallas that I wanted to work in HR, which I'm going to make another video about, but I decided that I actually like HR and I want to do something, and this was basically going to help me get into HR and help me stay in HR. And I really want to do diversity and inclusion trainings and stuff like that for organizations. So that's how I picked my concentration, honestly. Okay, let me look. What else? Did I just delete that? Ooh, child, I almost deleted my notes. Okay. So what I will say, the main differences between my undergrad and my graduate program. One, there was definitely a lot of reading. Like I had to read so much. And like you're supposed to do that in college, but for real, I was skimming. In grad school, I actually had to read and come to class prepared. So with that, class for me was also long, so long. So class was 3 hours each. So I was taking a full course, so I did take 3 classes at a time, which was, that was hard. So if you're not in a rush, I was in a rush, but if you're not in a rush, then I would say take your time, maybe dab your feet in it a little bit to see if it's for you. But I was taking 3 classes, so Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, I was in class from 6:30 to 9:30 at night, and that thing is long. And if you don't know what you're talking about, like my classes were very small, so about 9 people in each class, about, I would say sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less, but it's not that many people, and we're sitting in there for 3 hours. So sometimes the focus is gonna be on you. So I definitely had to read. I had to come to class prepared, and if you didn't, it was obvious, and that's embarrassing. So I definitely had to do a lot of reading. Like I said, the classes were long. I was tired. I was working full time by like the 4th week into the program. So I was coming straight from work and then going straight to class for 3 hours, and it was long. That was hard. It was definitely a lot of writing. I had to write so much, and I had a couple of writing intensive courses as well. So I definitely had to like get used to writing. And it was a lot of work. I'm not gonna lie, like, oh, I don't ever wanna write another paper again. And then, like I said, you definitely need to come to class prepared. One thing I will say though, for me, because I was busy and I'm definitely I like to have like a balanced lifestyle. So I was still trying to go out with my friends, and I was still trying to, you know, date and do whatever. One thing I will say that you have to learn to prioritize, and you really need to schedule. Like, I had to learn to say no. Like, I couldn't go to everybody's brunch. I couldn't go to everybody's day party. I couldn't like go out on a Thursday night for Trappiest hour or whatever. I couldn't do that because I had things that I had to do, and I did it a couple of times, but I was up, and it was definitely a struggle. I'm gonna tell you why. Another reason what made me a little bit more focused was I was paying for it myself. Like, I had to pay for grad school by myself. I did get a little bit of money from my school, but child, it hit different when you pay for yourself. Like, when I was in undergrad, you know, Mizzou gave me a scholarship and my parents were giving me money, and so that was different. But when I had to pay for everything by myself, I said, oh child, you're gonna get these grades. So I ended up with a 3.75 graduating. I did have like 3 B's, and then the rest were A's, but I worked hard for that. And I know in grad school, I think you just need like a 3.0 to graduate. You cannot have any C's. So I did not have any C's, or I think you can, but it's frowned upon. Like, a C is like failing in grad school, but I'm telling you, I was paying for it. So I definitely was more invested into it. I would say it was definitely a mix of ages in my program. So for me, for undergrad, of course you have like a couple of people who are a little bit older than you, but mainly everybody was my age. So it was easier to make friends and everything. For me in my grad program, it was a mix of ages. So we had people in their 60s, we had people who were straight out of undergrad, so like 21, and we had 26, some people were 30s or 40s. So it was definitely a mix of ages, and I actually like that because I feel like it made my learning community really good. I feel like we were able to learn from each other more than textbook, and I also liked my program because I was able to give a lot of my input. So as a grad student, I will say that your research is heavy, and it's not really just reiterating what somebody else said, but you're also bringing your voice and your thoughts to the table. So I actually really like that about grad school. One thing I will say though, I can't lie, it was definitely mentally tough. I had a lot of tears, like tears. My blood, sweat, and tears went into this degree. Like, for real, like sometimes I wanted to give up. Like, right before my thesis, my final capstone for before I graduated was due, I literally had a mental breakdown. Like, it was a lot. It was a lot to just write so much, and I think I was just becoming like overwhelmed with the task that was at hand. So for me, I would definitely let you know that it's not easy, but I'm so glad that I did it now that it was over. To answer a couple of questions, like, do I think that grad school is necessary to be successful in your career? Not necessarily, and I think it depends on the person. I think that grad school, one, was a way for me to leave. Was a way for me to leave out of DC for a little bit and just kind of get a new experience. I didn't have a reason to leave. So grad school was that for me, and it also kind of polished me in the way that I speak, in the way that I view the world, in the way that I present myself. All of that kind of stuff was really good for me to learn in grad school. You don't have to go to grad school to learn that, but I would say that I appreciate my experience and everything that I learned from my school. Another thing that I will say though, I went to grad school, and as a grad student, I wasn't really interested in being fully immersed into the school. So I really wasn't trying to be like, I mean, you know, pony up, SMU, let's go. But I wasn't really trying to be like super involved in campus activities and stuff. It was like, been there, done that, I'm here to get my education. And I think that the school that I was at was definitely good for me. I did join a couple of things. So I was a part of like a woman of color collective where we went and learned and brainstormed different ideas. We had book clubs, stuff like that. I was definitely a part of that, which was important for me at the school that I was at, because I wanted to be involved and be around other women like me, of color, of different ages, where we can bounce different ideas. And we were kind of like goal oriented and like-minded, and we kind of wanted to have a space for us to talk about our experiences in higher education. So that was really good for me. I'm just kind of like just speaking of everything that I had in my mind, so I'm sorry if it's like sporadic. And then some advice for those of you who are like me, if you're looking to get into grad school. One thing, it is expensive, so make sure that it's something that you really want to do. Like I said, I paid for it myself, and I had to make sure that it was worth it. If you're not sure what you want to do, or you don't know if it will really help you in your field, then I would definitely say make sure that you want to do it before you get into it, or at least make sure that you have somebody who can help you pay for it, or you have programs, etc. Give it your all, because I would say that learning is definitely what you make it. So for me, I definitely had to make sure that I went into the program and tried to learn, tried to make it, because I didn't major in HR, so I had to kind of like take an HR lens for everything that I learned and make sure that I can apply it to other companies as I go into diversity and inclusion. I would definitely say ask questions. So while you're in the program, it's definitely good to ask questions and build relationships with people in your program and your professors, because for me, there's a lot of things that I feel like I can get connected to with networking just by the relationships that I have with my professors. So for me, especially since I think that I want to stay in the Dallas area for a little bit, I don't know. And they're actually well connected across the country, but I think that it was really important for me to build relationships, because you never know who can help you and how you can help other people. If you have any questions, I'm going to be making other videos so I can go a little bit more in depth, but I just kind of wanted to put this out there so you can get my take on my grad school experience, and just this is like the general part one, like over arching answering questions about me in grad school. But if you have any like in-depth questions, go ahead and leave those in the comment section below, and then I'll be sure to answer them in the next video, and I'll be able to, you know, make sure that you guys are getting everything that you want out of my video. I think that's gonna be it for today. So I'll see you back here next time, and don't forget to leave comments with your questions and just let me know your experience. I know school is starting up really soon for those of you who are enrolling in your grad program coming August. And then I was in grad school at the beginning of COVID, so if you have any questions about like distance learning or anything like that, I can also express my thoughts on that as well. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you back here next time.